Joining us now with stories trending around the world is Anieze Osakwe.
Yes.
Good morning, Annie.
Good morning. Dr. Abati, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. Vimbai?
Good morning, Annie and
Good
Pink.
morning. Yes,
good to see you. Nice
I don't
color.
wear it often. Something different. Why not? Rufai, good morning.
Annie Davos.
Annie Davos, yes. From Ogidi to Davos.
From Ogidi to Davos.
I like that.
That's where we're headed.
Annie Davos.
Yes, and good morning to everyone out there. Thank you all for starting your day with us. We begin what's trending with a flood of reactions on social media to new reports that 20 people are now in captivity after the notorious terrorist Bello Turji attacked the Gajit community in the Sabon Birni local government area of Sokoto State. Now, here's what we know. The kidnapping took place on Tuesday, with both men and women abducted, and 2 people were injured. It comes as Turji, as you see on your screen, has indicated his plans to fully control parts of eastern Sokoto State, which has led to the mass displacement of residents and families, as seen in this video you see, that has been trending all week. I'll take some quick reactions to people. One person says, nah, what is all this? And why do we even have executives? How can a bandit be this loud and bold, yet nothing has been done? The more you look at the ongoing scenes in Nigeria, the more you question your sanity. Joseph says, is there no police in northern Nigeria? Why are these terrorists moving from town to town without being challenged, but police mount checkpoints in southern Nigeria to extort motorists? Meanwhile, disturbing new pictures are circulating on social media that show the release of 17 people of different ages, all abducted from the evangelical church Winning All in Aiyetoro-Kiri of Kogi State. Now, according to the National Public Secretary of the Communities Development Association, 3 people were released on Monday, with an additional 14 released on Tuesday. And as you can see in these new pictures, it's mostly elderly people, young kids, who had been in captivity since the 14th of December, when 30 of them were kidnapped during a service. Now, according to the association, this was very much a community effort that led to bringing these people back safely, saying that they worked with families of the people who were abducted, community leaders. And a lot of the people are saying, why is there such a vacuum when it comes to security and police presence in these states? Where is everyone? Rufai, I'll start with you.
And that's exactly what we're saying. I would rather we are bringing people back home, releasing people, showing that the government cares, rather than spend that money, billions on lobbying. Okay, look at it now. Part of the terms and conditions, please, Vimbai, read in that lobbying contract for us, please. I just want you to read
once I've got it up.
To be able to talk about the things we are doing to safeguard the Christian communities in it. Does this story show that we are safeguarding the Christian community? People, Christians, were abducted in a church since 14th of December. They had to do community effort to bring them back. No government. And it's not only them. These ones, they will have paid some ransom. So with a story like this, very good. Through as in communicating its action to protect Nigerian Christian communities, maintaining U.S. support in countering jihadist group and other disabilities, does this communicate action that you are protecting Christian communities where it is the Christian communities that had to look for a way to be able to get their people out? See the way they were dehumanized. Let me talk about a case. Reverend Archie was killed just because of his faith. We've been making an agenda for his wife that has been in captivity since Reverend Archie was killed weeks ago. I've been advocating for Reverend Archie's killing when I was on holidays in England. I came back to this country on the 3rd of December. So before then, Reverend Archie's wife had been in captivity. I don't know if they have released Reverend Archie's wife, only if they will release her tomorrow. No government agency. The last time, it was the family that was running around. Reverend Archie's body was only released after the family had gone to put some money forward to the criminals. Reverend Archie was picked up in his home. So does this, bro, rather than doing all of this, why don't we capitalize or focus on how we can solve the problem? I was reading in African reports as regards this lobbying thing that one lawyer was paid $5,000 just to write a letter to some American, what is it called, senators or something. $5,000 to write a letter.
Well, a lawyer deserves his wages.
I'm not saying they don't deserve their wages, Dr. But I'm not arguing that lawyer doesn't deserve their wages. I'm just stating empirical facts. But see the sad reality. So I think it's time for us to look within. As we speak today, I don't even know, maybe if the government, let's even set up a website, a glossary of all of those and index that have been kidnapped, so that we even know the cases that are currently on, the cases that we are pursuing, because I know it can even be overwhelming that they've even lost track of most of these cases. The cases that have been opened up, what's the coordinated effort? See this woman, see what she has been through. Her face tells the story of Nigeria. When we say Nigeria happened now, the data boys and those under PRU establishment, they will come and tell you that you are stupid, you are mad, that you hate Nigeria. The emergency lovers of Nigeria will come.
Yeah.
So maybe if we can even set up the website, have a glossary, a reporting website that we can all harmonize, so that we know the cases that we are even tracking. And please, for what it's worth, ensure that Reverend Archie's wife gets out there.
Absolutely, solutions.
Okay, the whole issue is about the worsening state of insecurity in Nigeria and the impunity of non-state actors. Bello Turji Kachala, those are his full names, known for short as Bello Turji, is considered the most notorious, terrorist bandit in the northwestern part of Nigeria. Now, before this latest attack in that local government in Sokoto, it was reported to have given the people in that area 24 hours notice to leave their homes. And I think there were videos of persons actually running away. And then this latest attack, he taking control of the place, injuring people, abducting more than 20 residents in that community in Sokoto East. Now, this Bello Turji first came to fame, I think, in 2022, when in one particular incident, he was reported to have killed over 200 persons, he and his gang. Now, do you know the irony? The irony is that at a point, this same Bello Turji, whether he was granted interview or whatever, was reported to have been given healers vehicles by a sitting governor in Nigeria. So this romance between authority figures and bandits and terrorists who should be arrested and brought to book is part of the problem. Now, I think in that same northwestern axis of Nigeria, whether it was Bello Turji or somebody, there was an arrangement to even give him a chieftaincy title by a community. So you see, the impunity of non-state actors emboldens them, and the connivance of the state or state figures encourages these non-state actors to continue in this regard. It's not as if the authorities do not know who he is. It's not as if they don't know where he operates. So it speaks beyond insecurity to the failure of the state to apprehend these criminal elements.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing with the ECWA Church in Kogi State, right? In a community in Kogi State. Now, over 30 persons were abducted on December 14. Now, on January 1, we were told that 4 persons were released. By January 13, 4 persons were released because 3 were reported to have died. They gave them 3 corpses, released 4. On January 13, they released 14 more persons. Now, on January 14, they released another set of 6. Now they've released total 24 persons. We're told that 17 persons are still in custody. And all of this as a result of the effort of the Community Development Association and the families. You ask yourself again, where are state agents?
That's the question.
Where are the people who have a constitutional obligation to protect Nigerians? And that's why it looks helpless, whether the victims are, Christians or they are Muslims.
Right.
We're under siege, but the only good story there is that the Minister of Defense now says they are setting up new training depots, one in Kogi State and some elsewhere, to scale up, the Nigerian government living up to its responsibility. We will comment on it when we see the results. Yeah. And we will say, well, the state authorities have woken up and they are no longer jollofing and pepper souping with bandits and terrorists.
Yes, such key points. Residents should not have to fend for themselves. But from insecurity, let's now head to our next story, sports. With the country reacting with a sense of pride, albeit sadness, at the Super Eagles' hard-fought but ultimately losing match yesterday against Morocco. Now, the federal government commending the team for their performance throughout AFCON, assuring each and every player, Nigeria is proud of you. And that was the sentiment largely echoed online. I'll take some quick reactions. One person said, "The boys gave their best effort. Today just wasn't our day. Penalty shootouts rely heavily on luck rather than skill. What I enjoy most is how Super Eagles bring the country together. When you don't come out on top, you learn it's all part of life." Daniel said, "The Super Eagles need to work on their performance as a team. Individually, our players are good, but not as a squad. Better preparation next time." And then finally, Peter Obi said, "Thank you for a beautiful 120 minutes of incredible play. You showed your strength, prowess against all odds. The journey is not over. You've made the nation proud. Keep your heads high. The eagle never stops soaring. There's another stage. Let's go get that medal. You have done well." So games like this are always so stressful to watch, Vimbai, and while it's sad that we didn't win, it feels like the national sentiment around this game has been somewhat supportive. It's sad, it hurts, but, you know, is there any sense of reprieve here? Any lessons learned?
Well, there are lessons to be learned. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay up for the whole match. I did my best, but I fell asleep at some point. But, you know, the key takeaways
Nigeria is playing, you fell asleep.
It was late.
And your Nigeria wife?
It was late.
I have a Nigeria wife with 2 little kids who wakes up at 4 a.m. to come to work every day. So, but you know, what struck me was that those opening minutes, Morocco played a very intense and aggressive game. They dominated. They were making shots at goal immediately from the time the whistle blew. But the fact that even given that pressure, given the fact that when you looked at the stadium, it was a wave of red. And if you've been to a football match live, you know how intense that is when you can't see your people. And, you know, it's just the opponent, of course, in this instance, the host country, and they're singing and they're chanting and they're, so all those psychological elements, they play a part. I mean, all of the majority of the Super Eagles players, they've traveled vastly. They're well exposed. They're players who have played in various different parts of the world extensively. But I don't think that you can ever get used to that environment and that intimidation from your opponent when you're playing on home ground. Nevertheless, they took it to the very end. And I love the person who made the contribution that penalties are almost a game of chance, you know, and that just goes to show that they did their best. They put their best foot forward. Sportsmanship says somebody must win and somebody must lose. And if only we can learn that culture, if only psychologically, even our politicians, you know, can get to a point where they can accept that you don't have to win by force by any means necessary every time. You can lose. You can actually just lose gracefully. So there's takeaways in everyday life, I think, that we can learn from sport, which is why we always try to encourage exposing children to sport at an early age. Having said that, it's fantastic to see. We've already spoken about Samad Rabiu and the fact that they'll still get their $500,000. They still have a chance at the third place against Egypt, which, you know, is not a walkover either. But it was a good outing, and not everything has to be black or white. We can lose gracefully as well.
Yes, that's a very good point. You know, so many lessons to learn from the world of sports.
The referee was biased. I just had to get that out of my mind.
Okay.
The referee was very biased. I don't know. Ghana follow us rich here.
Even after we said that their jollof is better, just for yesterday.
Ghana follow us rich here. Very biased guy. See the card he gave. What's the guy? Bassi to miss the next match. Somebody was pulling Bassi instead of you to blow for Bassi. Very biased. All the rough tackle Morocco did. Didn't really give them yellow card. Then secondly, the Moroccans who were biased. We couldn't get tickets. They hoarded the tickets. Moroccans were full. They were everywhere in the stadium, but Nigerians even couldn't get it. I know, yes, we couldn't have trumped them, but they hoarded tickets. Then the noise, goodness me, over 100 decibels when Nigerians want to play kick. What is it? Carry good boys, Jerry. We say it's enough. It is well, guys. You did well.
Nigerians like to give excuses.
We would. The referee was biased. The referee was Odoro
against 11.
Odoro Wambe.
Clearly, the loss still stings. The loss still stings. But you know, we learn what we can from that game. Now to Anambra State, where a new video has people online talking about how a knight of the Catholic Church, James Louis Okoye, publicly said that he would renounce his Christianity during the dedication of the new Our Lady of Assumption Cathedral at Nnewi on Wednesday. Now, in the video, Okoye calls out the church for not acknowledging the former Anambra South Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, who passed away in July of 2024. And he is said to have been instrumental in the cathedral's groundbreaking and construction. Let's take a look.
My last day as a Christian. My last day as Christian is today.
Now, however, later on Wednesday, another video emerged from the cathedral service that showed the moment the cathedral's bishop, Dr. Jonas Benson Okoye, did, albeit briefly, recognize the late senator during the ceremony. Let's quickly watch that as well.
Some don't know why I asked him to preside at this mass. My predecessor started this cathedral, I continued. And a good number of the faithful, including the late Senator Ubah, also contributed. But because I wanted a connection between me and my predecessor, he ordained my predecessor a priest. He confirmed me in faith. And I chose the same day of his episcopal consecration for my own episcopal consecration.
Now, the cathedral was dedicated by His Eminence Francis Cardinal Arinze, with Anambra State Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo in attendance, as well as the former presidential candidate Peter Obi. But these two videos have sparked a lot of reactions online. Some people say that the man's reaction was too dramatic, while others say that the late senator's recognition wasn't enough. Even though we heard it, it was brief, Dr. Abati.
Who bring that to be Christian?
Well, I agree with those who say that the man's reaction was dramatic. What is even ironic here is that the gentleman, whose name is James Louis, is a knight of the church. You expect that certain persons who have knighthood, that a certain level of conduct, a certain level of leadership, responsibility, decorum is expected from them. And this gentleman just went overboard. Now, Ifeanyi Ubah of blessed memory, God rest his soul, you know, yes, certainly, as the bishop acknowledged, was one of the persons who contributed to the building of that cathedral, which is part of the obligation of many, you know, devout Christians. You try to support the church, you try to make your own contribution. But the problem with Sir James is that he thinks that the recognition was not enough. Now, when you do things in the house of God, I thought the received opinion is that God sees you. He already sees your heart, and your contribution is between you and your God. But here, it's not even Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, you know, making a case. He represented Anambra South Senatorial District. It's after his death. This gentleman, on his behalf, is expressing a sense of entitlement. And many Christians will raise the question whether that's the Christian way. You know, there are many Nigerians, when they donate something to the church, they will go and write their name on even ordinary plastic chairs, donated by the family of XYZ, you know, in a very conspicuous manner. You know, if it is a wristwatch, you will not almost see the letter. You may say, oh, Mr. Ikenna, you know, donated this to this church. So people have this sense of entitlement, making it seem as if church has now become a place for showing off. And I think it's very unfortunate. Now, if you look at the circumstances, this night, he probably stepped out when the bishop was speaking and mentioned Senator Ubah. He probably was busy on his phone. A lot of people go to church. They spend half of the time, communicating with their phones and not listening to the preacher. So all of this is just, unfortunate. But I hope he will change his mind and say, he should go. He's not coming back to church just because,
he should go.
I don't know his relationship with Senator Ubah, just that Senator Ubah was not, in his estimation, properly recognized. If he's a true Christian, he will show up again in church
he should go.
this week.
We don't need people like this in Christendom.
Since he's a Catholic, he should go and ask for forgiveness.
No, he should go and do confession. But we don't need people like this in Christendom.
The Lord leaves the 99.
No. If he does his confession, forgiveness is guaranteed. Our Lord is a forgiving God. And he sees the heart of everyone.
No, I'm sorry. If this matter, a matter which I call as fickle as this, can make you renounce your faith, then I don't think you're fit to hold that faith. And I think it's a very serious matter for him. If a matter as fickle as this can make you denounce your faith, I don't think you're fit to hold that faith.
Yes.
Well, the church, even those who sin, who have sinned, in the house of the Lord, when they come back as prodigal sons, they will be forgiven. So let him go and seek penance.
Yes, and still in Anambra State, hopefully we have time for this one. The state's public relations officer of police, Tochukwu Ikenga, confirmed the arrest of a masquerade during a burial ceremony after it violently attacked people at the event. Now, the incident happened on Monday, and in video circulating that we brought you yesterday, it clearly shows the exact moment that the masquerade lunged at a performer, and we have this video on stage and started attacking people. People had to hold back this masquerade. According to the police, it pushed motorcyclists as well as an elderly man who hit his head on a car. And this particular masquerade is said to only appear after 6 p.m. because it's known for its destructive behavior. But, this has resurfaced a lot of conversations about the balance between cultural traditions and people's safety, and as we see more masquerade arrests and bans, what it means for the future of the tradition. But next, let's take our milestone report. With the federal government and the country at large paying tribute to the nation's military all week, culminating today, January 15, on Armed Forces Remembrance Day. So for the last few days, the federal government has been consistent in recognizing and honoring every military man and woman for defending the country's unity, its peace, and territory, day in, day out. Armed Forces Remembrance Day is observed every year in Nigeria on the 15th of January to honor the individuals in the military who died during the Civil War, who maintained the nation's internal security, as well as peacekeeping missions abroad. Now, the celebrations taking place all week with a program that balanced solemn, intentional remembrance with joy and national pride, showcased the heroism and humanity of Nigeria's armed forces, from events at the National Defense College to a gala at the Presidential Villa and more. Each event was representative of the sacrifices of current, former, and fallen soldiers, while emphasizing the government's commitment to our nation's troops and their families. So there have been calls to make today a national public holiday, to give the public a day to recognize the military, especially in times like this, as the country deals with insecurity and terrorism as well. And we don't have too much time to discuss it, but national.
Very quickly, we already have too many holidays. I know the idea of having a public holiday on Armed Forces Remembrance Day is to involve the community so that it doesn't look like a strictly military affair. After all, they have Remembrance Day in Remembrance Sunday in the UK, Veterans Day in Ghana, Veterans Day also in the United States. But I think it is more important to pay attention to the welfare of the families of these fallen heroes. Many of their family members have not received their entitlements. Many of them have no accommodation. The ones that are even serving, they are not being well taken care of. I think the welfare of both the living and the fallen heroes of the Nigerian military is more important to me rather than having a holiday where the basic issues will not be addressed. People will just spend the day sleeping or drinking or just playing about. The fundamental issues should be the focus.
And education. Education. If anything, this is a day to be playing maybe documentaries or, to have stage plays or something. Because there's an entire generation that doesn't appreciate or doesn't even have just basic fundamental knowledge of the significance of what we're commemorating today.
So I think it's long overdue. We need to have like an harmonized collection pot where we can target funds for our veterans, where it could be a series of events, it could be a series of discounts in partnership with companies, it could be a series of charitable donation by companies and all of that, and we have an harmonized funds, and this money can be deployed to the use of veterans, because we don't really do a lot in terms of veteran service, we don't really do a lot in terms of mental health awareness for veterans and things like that. So there's so much, and I think this is the time to institute that, really.
So much
and as for that masquerade, Agaba, or what do they call it? The lesson is how to strike a balance between culture and public safety. It's not enough to say Agaba is known for destructive behavior. Since he's a masquerade, an ancestor, he's in detention now. They should not give him water or food, because ancestors, do they drink water in the other world? Anyway, I'm just joking.
There's a person behind
He will remove the mask and he will have his day in court.
Exactly. Thank you all for your great analysis today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed.